Let's go is what our gang was saying right before we went live, and that's exactly how the Gujarat Titans would have felt after the victory last night. Now, there's a lot of news to cover, but before we get into things, this is Wake Up Cricket powered by Pavilion Picks. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into it.
Well, there was a hailstorm in Bangalore yesterday. There was another hailstorm hitting Bangalore. Now, Holder, Rashid, and Arshad gave Gujarat Titans NRR boosting win. Jason Holder was so omnipresent that his involvement in five dismissals enabled the Gujarat Titans to bowl Royal Challengers Bengaluru out for 155 in Ahmedabad. Such a middling chase was right up the alley of Shubman Gill and B. Sai Sudarshan, but once GT lost both their openers in the power play, their soft underbelly was exposed once again. They needed cameos from Holder and the impact player Rahul Tewatia to get over the line, handing defending champions RCB their third defeat in IPL 2026. Virat Kohli flew out of the blocks for RCB, hitting Kagiso Rabada for four successive fours in the second over after they'd been asked to bat first by GT. Even Rabada's traditional hard length was pumped over mid-off. In the next over, Kohli charged at Mohammad Siraj and deposited him over mid-on for four more. However, when Kohli tried to charge at Rabada in the fourth over, the South African quick hit the deck harder and drew a top edge to mid-wicket. Rabada had the last laugh and gave the departing Kohli 28 of 13 balls a death stare. Siraj had earlier dismissed Jacob Bethel, who got another game in the place of injured Phil Salt for a run ball 5. Rabada and Siraj bowled right through the power play and kept RCB to 59 for 2. Devdutt Padikkal and Rajat Patidar forged a 44-run partnership for the third wicket before Holder caught the RCB captain at deep square leg in the eighth over. Doubts, however, emerged around the legality of the catch when slow-mo replays suggested that Holder may have grasped it more than once, including while sliding. The TV umpire Abhijit Bhattacharya perhaps deemed that Holder was in control of his movements and ultimately ruled Patidar out.
Now, for the last part of the article, we are going to be putting out a reel on Cricket by JB, so you can just go and check that out. I'm not going to discuss it here. But overall, for the match itself, it was a very interesting fixture in that if you look at the batters, especially if you look at the way Kohli and Devdutt Padikkal played, you'd think that it was a fairly decent pitch and one where at least 180 would have been par. But RCB just never got going. Some of the other batters just absolutely struggled to get starts, and I mean, got starts, but were not able to convert those starts. So it was a very tricky sort of period for RCB, and eventually they just got to 155 all out, not even lasting their entire 20 overs. And from there, for Gujarat Titans, this is a very template kind of chase, right? As the article also suggests, this would have been the kind of chase that you want for GT's top three because these are the conditions they thrive in. They just bat throughout the entirety of the innings, and they would possibly get home. Now, considering that the way Shubman Gill batted was very incredible to watch, 43 of 18 striking at 200 plus, gave them the kind of start they needed. And it also made me sort of realize that maybe the power play was where both teams are targeting to go big because the ball is new and hard. And so it just pings off the bat, fielders inside the circle, which makes things easier to get off the blocks. Ultimately, that innings did matter a lot because in the end or by the end of the chase, Gujarat were fumbling a bit. It was not that the runs were ever an issue, but they were just losing wickets. And so Rahul Tewatia coming in as impact player, I know I'm a little over time, for him to get those 27 runs, very crucial.
Absolutely. And what else is crucial? Mitchell Stark joining DC. Stark boost for DC ahead of crucial clash with RR. The wait is finally over. Mitchell Stark is available to play for Delhi Capitals as they take on Rajasthan Royals in Jaipur on Friday night. Stark was recovering from a shoulder injury and joined the squad only few days ago. While he hasn't played a match in more than 3 months, he has been bowling in the DC nets and would be raring to go. DC2 would need this boost desperately. They are on a three-match losing streak and were bowled out for 75 in their previous outing against Royal Challengers Bengaluru. Apart from that, they have struggled to create impact with the new ball and have picked up just 7 wickets in the power play this season, the joint fewest along with Kolkata Knight Riders. For comparison, RR, the best team in that phase, have taken 21. Jofra Archer alone has picked up 9. Beyond the numbers, Stark against RR's belligerent opening pair of Webb of Suryavanshi Suryavanshi and Yashasvi Jaiswal should be a mouth-watering contest. RR will be confident after their win against Punjab Kings on Tuesday. Playing in New Chandigarh, they chased down 223 to hand the hosts their first defeat of the season. RR now have two wins in their last three games. If they beat DC, they could, depending on the Gujarat Titans versus RCB result, even top the points table.
Now, of course, because of that result between GT and RCB, it does mean that Rajasthan actually have the chance to come on top of the table today, provided they're able to beat Delhi Capitals. Now, I think it rightfully points out that Mitchell Starc's return could be an interesting boost for the Delhi Capitals, who particularly have not been able to get going. Now, with Mitchell Starc, you know that he is a world class bowler. Now, he isn't the best in T20 cricket, but you know that he's someone who can step up in the really crucial moments. We
Yeah.
saw it in the 2024 final as well. So, it's not that he hasn't done this before, and we know how much he's improved over the last 2 to 3 years. So, it will be interesting, especially because Vaibhav Suryavanshi and Yashasvi Jaiswal are the ones who are going to be facing off against Mitchell Starc. That is going to be something that's much talked about. Suryavanshi, you know he's tonked Bumrah, you know he's tonked Hazelwood, and so many of the other bowlers. The only world class bowler left to be tonked is a Mitchell Starc, if you think about it. So, looking at it from that point of view, it will be crucial for the Delhi Capitals. I think this is a much needed impetus for them, or a much needed boost, because with Stark coming in and the kind of experience he has, if he can line up both these batters early, then and get their wickets, it really opens the game because the middle order is still finding its place. Of course, we did see glimpses in the Punjab game itself where Rajasthan finally seemed to have some kind of semblance in the middle order, getting rid of Hetmeyer and then Ferreira, as well as Shubham Dubey coming in and playing crucial knocks. So it is going to be very interesting to see which way things go. Having said that, I do have a feeling that Stark would dominate the fixture, at least against Suryavanshi. It will be interesting to see how it pans out. Also, because Stark is someone who does his homework, right? He isn't someone who is just a quality bowler, but he is someone who has a body of homework, especially if you remember the Abhishek Sharma dismissal also back in that IPL final. There was a clear plan in place, and I would be very interested to see what the plan is to Weber Suryavanshi from Mitchell Stark today.
Well, as of now, we don't really know what Mitchell Stark's plans would be against Suryavanshi. We do broadly know what is SLC's plans right now. Sangakkara and Mahanama part of Transformation Committee to run SLC. Kumar Sangakkara is one of the 9 Transformation Committee members appointed to run Sri Lankan cricket after the country's government ousted the previous office bearers on Wednesday. Sangakkara is the most high profile cricketer in the committee, which also features Roshan Mahanama and Siddharth Vetimuni. But the majority of the committee's members hail from corporate, legal, and political spheres, with former Member of Parliament Iran Vikramaratne appointed as the chair. Vikramaratne, a politician hailing from Sri Lanka's main opposition party, Samagi Jana Balavegaya, in addition to being a corporate figure himself, is understood to have stepped down from his political positions within his party in order to assume this role. He is not a current member of the parliament. I am privileged to lead a 9 member committee of individuals with impeccable integrity and expertise, Vikramaratne said before outlining two major aims of the Transformation Committee in a statement.
Cool. So Sri Lankan cricket, obviously, there has been a lot that's been happening. They've also had a change of coaches. Jayasurya has also moved into the National Center for Cricket. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but there has been a revamp across levels of the Sri Lankan Cricket Board, which means that clearly things were not going a certain way, and they want to kind of overhaul how things work. Now, having Sangakkara in this committee is huge, right? Because it talks about how he's one of the few cricketers, so to speak. The other people involved are maybe politicians or corporate people from the corporate world. And with Sangakkara, you just get so much experience. You know, he knows the cricket inside out. He's come through the system. He's been in cricket for about 30 odd years now, at least. So you have a really good figure there. Same with Mahanama as well. These two have been around Sri Lankan cricket for quite a while. But something that irks me a little bit is that there is still political involvement, and that's something that most cricket boards, at least in the subcontinent, are not able to get rid of. In Sri Lanka, it's always been a dominating factor, and that's also very visible to see because of the fact that there's constant changes in their boards. So that's something that irks me a little bit. But overall, I think for Sri Lankan cricket, this might be what they need. Also, because of the fact that a lot of their players are doing well. If you look at the IPL, if you look at someone like Ishan Malinga, for example, Dasun Shanaka, there's so many of these players who are currently a part of the IPL or are playing the PSL are getting all of the exposure they need. And Sri Lanka has been a decent side, right? Even in the T20 World Cup, there were a couple of games where they did well. So they have all of the talent pool. Jayasurya is at an intermediate level, which means that even the kids that are coming through the ranks are going to be so much better, are going to be trained in the right conditions or maybe in the right eyes. So all of that being said and done, it will be important to see how things progress for them. But looking like purely speaking as a cricket fan and a hopeful, it does look like this might be what Sri Lanka or Sri Lankan cricket needs. And really, that's all there is to this.
Well, it might be all that we need to know as of now about the story as well. Moving on to the next story. Parag penalized after being caught vaping during PBKS versus RR match. Riyan Parag, the Rajasthan Royals captain, has been fined 25% of his match fee and handed one demerit point after being caught using a vape inside the dressing room during RR's IPL 2026 game against Punjab Kings in New Chandigarh on Tuesday. Parag was found to have breached Article 2.21 of the IPL's Code of Conduct, which relates to conduct that brings the game into disrepute. A BCCI statement on Thursday said the incident took place during RR's chase of PBK's 222, which they managed with four balls in hand. Parag admitted to the offence and accepted the sanction imposed by the match referee Amit Sharma. Significantly, the BCCI said it was exploring other options to initiate proceedings for stringent action against the erring team, its officials, players, to ensure that the reputation of IPL remains intact. The infringement on Parag's part came less than 2 weeks after RR team manager Romy Bhinder had been fined rupees INR 1 lakh, in fact INR 1 lakh, after being caught using his mobile phone in the team dugout during the game against Royal Challengers Bengaluru on April 10th in Guwahati.
Now, I don't quite know what to make of this, right? Because there's a lot of laws around vaping within India. There, it's illegal to possess or deal or all of that jazz. But I don't know what the gray area situation is with just having one as opposed to having a stock of vapes. So that's something that can be debated. I'm surprised that it's only 25% of the match fee that Riyan Parag is fined, because there were reports going around that it might be 100%, it might be 200%, and he might get banned for a couple of games. Now, it makes sense for BCCI to have to implement this, and for the IPL committee to sort of fine him. I think they should have fined him more, honestly, because it talks about the bringing the game into disrepute, which makes sense because a lot of kids are watching the IPL. And so you don't want to give away the wrong signal, especially with things like this. Having said that, I don't know why not enough people are talking about it. Is the fact that Yashasvi Jaiswal was also passing Parag at the time of this incident, which got me a little worried for Jaiswal, because clearly the team knows, like people know in the squad, that this is
Yeah.
happening. And how much of an offense is it if you don't report it? Because if it was something like match fixing, which is a completely different thing and definitely a higher offense, then even for a player to not report that becomes a huge deal. So I don't know where BCCI draws the line on this, which also possibly is why they're talking about more stringent action, so to speak, against the officials and the team members. I think there will be some sort of directive that goes out to these players saying that, I mean, sure, it's your personal space, but especially when you're on camera. And this is something that's also come up multiple times, right? Where a lot of players have been unhappy with cameras being pointed inside the dressing room. In the dugout is fine, but the dressing room, you want to treat it as a safe haven, which is unfortunately not possible in this era. It feels like if you have to do anything, you have to go possibly to the bathroom and do whatever it is. So I don't know what to make of the situation, but I think Parag should have been fined a bit more for that.
Moving on to the next story. IPL is big business and fair contests are not good for it, says Murli Tharan. Batting records continue to tumble, top ranked bowlers continue to be taken apart, and even a target as big as 265 is completed with 7 balls to spare. IPL 2026 is heavily tilted towards the batters, and on a day Sunrisers Hyderabad made a chase of 244 look easy against Mumbai Indians, their spin bowling coach Muthia Murli Tharan said that bowlers just have to accept they're going to get hit and try to adapt to the game's demands. It's very difficult for a bowler because these days, because of every team, not only us, that is SRH, has an opening pair that doesn't care about or in and out, and they're just going after the bowling. Muralitharan said at the press conference after the game, when we used to play, about 40-50 runs was a good score with one wicket lost in 6 overs, and now the average is 70 to 80. Muralitharan pointed to the fearless approach of young batters, citing uncapped 23-year-old Salil Arora's no-look six of Jasprit Bumrah as an example of how the mindset had shifted. Even a good bowler goes for a six. Even Bumrah goes for one or two balls. Abhishek Sharma, the way he hits, it's unbelievable. But when a new boy, Salil, hits a six, it's unbelievable. You don't think someone with the caliber of Bumrah comes and a young boy will hit a six of him because he will think about how am I going to survive Bumrah, Muralitharan said. But nowadays, no, it's about how am I going to hit a six. That's the approach. Confidence levels have gone up because people have showed this is a way to play the modern game, and youngsters are following that.
I think Muralidharan is hit it right on its head, right? He's spot on when he says that there's absolutely no fear of getting out. Youngsters have been given that liberty, and something that we have been talking about internally as well is that we might just be seeing a new meta in the IPL where clearly the players are fearless, but more than that, the six hitting ability is so much better. The kind of players that are being selected into the squads are also specifically those kinds of players who can tong the ball. Now, because if you think back to maybe even say 5 years ago in the IPL, if you were to pick a side, very rarely would you see a player getting picked off his good performance in something like a Delhi Premier League. Now, that is not to
Hmm.
demean the quality of Delhi Premier League, but there's a reason why there are systems in place. There's a reason why you would prefer picking someone who's played a lot of domestic cricket and had some kind of experience in the longer formats, because then you know that okay, they can face a certain quality of bowling and they have a certain body of runs or a certain body of wickets here specifically to do with batting itself. So if you take all of that into account and if you look at how the previous auction was, we see so many players who've been picked off just these state leagues simply because of the fact that they're striking around 190, 200, which is crazy to think about. And even the averages, which you traditionally would think have come down because of a trade off between average and strike rate, that's not been the case. At least for the top six or seven batters, the average has just consistently gone up every IPL along with the strike rate. So that is what the new meta is, and Muralidharan's absolutely right.
And in fact, apart from Maharaja Premier League and Tamil Nadu Premier League, a lot of
Mhm.
these state leagues have only sprung up in the last few years, including
Exactly.
Delhi Premier League, which
Yeah.
started a couple of years back. So again,
Mhm.
a lot of these are being noticed, and players are being more and more fearless.
True.
So has been the creator of this meme. The person is pretty fearless and has come up with this,
Shubman Gill.
leaving us
I
scared.
mean, yeah, it's clear, right? 43 of 18, strike rate of 238. And that's also what I was talking about in the very first piece of news, where Shubman
Best of
Gill,
both worlds.
best of both worlds indeed. Like there is absolutely no bludgeoning of the ball. It's just classy play.
Yeah.
He's just extended his drives into beautiful shots. Same was the case with Kohli when he was going after Rabada. I think that was some of the most sublime batting that I've seen in the recent past. Both of these batters absolutely creaming the ball is the word that I would use. There was no forceful hitting. It was just beautiful timing. And Shubman Gill eventually ending up with a strike rate of 238. People will ask why can't he do this more often. If he keeps doing this more often, he will become the captain of the T20I side eventually, but for that he first needs to break back into the squad. But I thought this was very interesting. Shubman Gill, strike rate 200 plus. There's nothing much more to add here. If you can come up with some creative names in chat, more than happy to have them in our comment section. But that's really it today for Wake Up Cricket powered by Pavilion Picks. We do have a game today, which is the Rajasthan Royals taking on the Delhi Capitals. On recent form, I would say Rajasthan Royals start off as favorites, also because I'm a Rajasthan Royals fan. But Delhi Capitals, will be interesting to see if Starc firstly gets the game, and if he does, if he can make an impact, and possibly, hopefully, for Delhi Capitals, turn their season around. But that's really all there is to it. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, share it with your friends, subscribe. We'll see you on Monday, 8 a.m. at Wake Up Cricket. That's it from us. Peace.